Did you know that 50% of people have left a job because of their boss? So if you are one of that 57%, you may be wondering, what do I say when I'm asked, why did I leave my job? Hi, I'm Shelley Piedmont. I am a recruiter turned career coach, and my goal is to help people thrive and not just survive in their career. So 57% is a really large number. That means that a lot of people have been in this situation. So the question is, how do you talk about it when you're asked in an interview about why you left? Well, you can take different approaches to answering this question. Some may want to be very transparent about the reasons. Others may feel like that's not something they want to really get into. So in this video today, we'll talk about what I suggest you do when you are asked this question. So recruiters actually ask this question about why you left a previous job or why you are thinking of leaving a job, because they're interested in knowing essentially three things about you based on your answers. One is, what is your goals? What are you trying to achieve with your career? That's important for them to determine if this job would be a good fit. Another thing they're looking at is your commitment level. So if they understand a little bit about why you've left previous jobs or thinking about leaving a job, they can look at this job and see, well, does that align? Would you be happy in this role? Are we going to be able to give you what you need? The third thing is they're looking for red flags. So that could be something like a person's expectations. Are they realistic? And if they are not, then this job might not be a good position for them. So they're trying to assess many things in an interview, but fit for the role and interest in the role is one. So that is why they would ask this question. There are a few reasons why you might have had a toxic relationship with your boss. Now, maybe your boss was a micromanager and you really want autonomy, and instead they were wanting to have you report and follow up with you all the time on what you were doing. That didn't work for you. Or perhaps your boss was bullying you, and that took an emotional toll with you, and you decided that you needed to leave. Another thing could be you're not given the support that you need, and you're being asked to do a job that you feel like you cannot do because your boss is not giving you what you need. Maybe information, maybe additional people support, whatever it might be. And then the last thing could be, it's just your personalities didn't get along well. We're human, we're all different, and sometimes personalities do clash, and that's just not making your environment a happy one. So those are all reasons why that relationship might not have been a good one, and therefore you're thinking of leaving or have left a role. Now, the question is, how do you speak about that when asked? Do you want to be transparent and talk about all the issues you had with your supervisor? Or is there another way to discuss that? So, as a former recruiter, my best suggestion is to not get into the details of that situation. I'm going to give you an example why that can backfire. I once interviewed a gentleman and I asked a question, and he went in for about 5 minutes talking about his relationship with his boss, how horrible that was for him, and in quite detail what that boss did to him. He was quite angry about it, and those emotions were coming out as he was speaking. Now, listening to that, I can certainly empathize with being in that situation, but there were other things also that I was thinking as he was telling the story. First of all, noticing his emotions. This had a great impact on him, and it appeared like he had not gotten past that. That is why he went into such detail. Now, that can be problematic if that person is taking all those negative emotions into their next job. So I noted that. The second thing was in his description of what happened, I did not hear anything about how he was trying to make this situation better. So it made me question a little bit about his abilities to deal with conflict. You know, it takes two people to have conflict. So what was he doing that he was trying to make better for the situation? The third thing was there's always two sides to every story. I formerly was in HR and had to do a lot of investigations. And so I know from that people tend to cherry pick what they want to discuss. So he's talking about these things that his boss did. Now, if I talked to the boss, I might have gotten a very different picture of what happened. So I know that I was only hearing one side of that story. And the fourth thing I think everyone should think about is when you're talking about a lot of negativity, then you bring that negativity to your interview. So you want to keep it positive. You want to keep it light. And you bring your interview into a dark place when you talk about all the issues with your boss. So that's why in this instance, this did not really work for him. It actually added questions to me with regard to his fit than he probably thought as he was talking about this story. Now, I did not end up moving him forward. This was not the sole reason why that was the case, but it was part of my assessment of whether he would be the right person for the role. Okay, so probably complete transparency may not be your best way of talking about what happened. So what should you do instead? Well, I am going to suggest that you think about what were the main issues and think about that more at a high level. So as an example, you weren't given support. That could be something. Or your work style and your boss's work style did not mesh. Now, you do not need to then go into everything about what happened, but you can say something in general like, I always try to do my best work, and to do my best work, I do need to have a certain level of support. And I found that due to the circumstances of the business and the way that my boss wanted to direct the function, unfortunately, I wasn't given the support that I felt like I needed to make the difference that I wanted to make. I learned a lot. It was a good experience, but now I'm looking for, and then you can list what it is. So you don't get into the personal about your relationship with your boss. What you do is you talk, in broad strokes about what happened. And you can add positives about it because most jobs are not totally negative. There are probably some good things. Maybe you learned some things, you overcame some challenges. Those are all great things to talk about. And then pivot over to what this employer will provide or what you can do for this employer that would be of value to them. That is a great way to get through this question, to give the interviewer some information about what happened, and then to really move on. Remember, your interviewers, that could be the recruiter, the hiring manager, they all have probably had toxic bosses, so they understand that situation. They just need the information to understand what was happening with you, and then also how their role would be a better fit. Concentrate on that, practice your answers, and you'll be confident when answering this question.